Alrighty, welcome back to another mailbag show, Q&A show, whatever we're calling them nowadays. This is my second Q&A show for the day. I'm thinking this might be a regular kind of thing on a Wednesday for me, where I do one in the morning, one in the evening, basically 12 hours apart, in the hope of capturing the global audience. So people that are asleep in the morning will be awake at night and vice versa. We had Noah on the show with me this morning. A lot of good questions, way too many to get through. I'm not anticipating as many tonight. This is obviously when people in the US are asleep. So, yeah, that would tell me that there'll be slightly less. And hey, maybe I don't get any questions. That is also fine. I've got plenty to talk about. Welcome to Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast brought to you by FanDuel and Fan Tracks. I am Adam King. Find me on the socials at AdamKing91. Please subscribe to the Old Man Squad YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Go and find us on the audio platforms and download over there as well. So it was an interesting day. We had 5 games, so I can just start talking about the games and some players. We're basically a week into the season now. So games tipped off Wednesday, my time last week, and we are now through the second Wednesday. So we are a week into the season, and we've had some standout performances, some players who have obviously let us down quite a lot, players that I was high on. So I'll talk about a couple of those. Of course, I like to celebrate the victories, the players that I talked about that are outperforming or doing maybe what I expected, but not what others expected, or even outperforming my expectations. There are a few of those. Let's start with Keyshawn George, because he played today. He has certainly outplayed my expectations thus far. Let's have a look at exact numbers. I'll just pull up my ranks now. I use the Basketball Monster projections and rankings. I do use others, but for the purpose of this show, I'm just going to use one set. I'm not going to confuse myself with more than one. So Keyshawn George, 9 category leagues. Obviously I punt, so that adjusts value, but we'll talk standard leagues here. Keyshawn George is the 18th ranked player. Now, is he going to stay the 18th ranked player? Highly unlikely. So I guess you could consider this a sell high opportunity. He's averaging, and I'll do some rounding here, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 combined steals and blocks, and 3.5 3-pointers, shooting 54% from the field and only 60% from the line. So I think they will switch a little bit. I think the field goal percentage probably comes down. Free throw percentage goes up. So that will impact the scoring a little bit. He's not going to be a 20-point per game scorer, I wouldn't think. I was sort of hoping in my mind for maybe 15. So I still think that's realistic. But the defense, the assists, the rebounds, he does that. That we saw it last season. So yes, look, it's probably a sell high, but I would only be looking to sell high on him if you could get a maybe a top 40 player back. I think, assuming he sticks in his current role, which I think even with the return of Bilal Coulibaly at some point, Keyshawn George will stay as a starter and play 30 minutes a night. I think that his floor is probably top 70, ceiling of top 40. So I would really only move him for a top 40 or a top 50 player. If you can't get one of those back, given you don't have a lot invested in him, I'd just hold on to him and ride it out. All right, we do have a question. Like I said, I don't think we'll get a lot, but grabbed Rollins after his performance today, but need to decide if I would drop him or Wendell Carter if Asar or Zion play tomorrow. Ooh, that's a tough one. Obviously don't make any decisions until tomorrow. You may find that someone else on your roster is added to the injury report overnight. So yeah, not a decision that you have to make now. Who would I drop? I mean, they're very different. So have a look at the categories you need. Ryan Rowlands is a point guard. Wendell Carter is a center. So they're going to give you very different categories. Wendell has been fine. He's sort of doing just enough to be rostered. A little bit like Nemesh Cater, very similar. He's doing just enough. He's sort of close to a double-double with 1.5 to 2 defensive stats. Cater probably has slightly more upside on that end of the court, to be fair. Wendell can hit threes, doesn't hit a lot of them. So I think if you're looking for upside, I would go Rowlands. Just it's hard to know what the Bucks are thinking here. The injury to Kevin Porter obviously presented Rowlands with this really nice opportunity. It's something we didn't see coming necessarily this early in the season. And he's absolutely made the most of it. So the hope for if you have Ryan Rowlands on your roster, the hope is that he sticks as a starter or at least at 30 minutes. We just don't know because we haven't had a good look at what Kevin Porter Jr. looks like or where he fits. But I think if Rowlands can play 30 minutes a night, that defensive upside, he's shown flashes of offensive capability, I suppose. He looks far more confident than I've ever seen him. And it appears as though his teammates have confidence in him as well. So if you're looking for upside, I'd stick with Rowlands. If you're just looking for a fairly safe back-end center, then Wendell is your man because Goga Bitadze is not coming for his minutes. It doesn't appear this season, unlike previous seasons. Mo Wagner will come back at some point, but it's going to be a ramp up. I don't really see that impacting Wendell Carter unless he's just playing so bad that they go with a 3-center rotation. But at the moment, I think Carter's doing enough to hold on to that 30-minute-a-night role. And, that makes him a fairly safe, somewhat unappealing center. So, I don't know if that helps. But like I said, wait till tomorrow. Just see what happens with the injury report and if anyone else is added to the injury report. All right, let's get back into... hang on. Got another one. Dragon Dower. Keeping me in a job here. Any advice on Colin Murray, Boyles, or Minot? Oh, yeah. It's a good one as well. I think they're both worth a look, if we're being honest. Minot was good in the last game. He started. Does that mean he starts the next game and plays 28 minutes? No, not based on what we've seen in Boston. No, it doesn't. He was someone that I was taking with my last round pick in a lot of drafts, and it hadn't paid off until that last game. Colin Murray Boyles, really bad in his first game, very good in his second game. The question I think here would be what happens with Pirtle. If Pirtle misses time with his back injury, which he could because it's ongoing. This is something he's been dealing with from the preseason. He looks limited. As we know, his production's been pretty bad. So if Pirtle is going to miss time, I think I'd go with Colin Murray Boyles because I just think he has a clearer path to minutes. They really don't have a lot of depth, front court depth anyway. They have Sandro Mamukelashvili, who I like, but he's not the answer. There's not much upside there with him. Murray Boyles would obviously be undersized if they were to play him at centre. They'd be playing a very small lineup, but he's a very good defender. Offense is a bit hit or miss, but they've got other offensive options there. So he wouldn't necessarily need to score, but he could get rebounds. He can get blocks, steals. So I think if we get word on Pirtle, that would probably sort of make that decision for me. If Pirtle is cleared to play, I think Minot maybe is my slight preference. If Pirtle is out, I'd go Colin Murray Boyles. If you've got some flexibility to be able to take both of them, even if Pirtle is not ruled out, I still don't mind a flyer on Colin Murray-Boyles because I'm not confident that Pirtle's injury is something that's just going to go away. Backs are iffy, especially with big men, and he could play, but he could be limited. He could be in and out a little bit. It just depends what strategy they want to take with his recovery, I suppose, if we want to call it a recovery. All right, let's get into my next player. We can get rid of Keyshawn George there. That I was now this guy I wasn't super high on. Well, no, look, I was high on him, but I just didn't see a huge path to minutes when the team is healthy. So Trey Jones for the Bulls, very good to end last season. He did suffer an injury, which took some of the shine off a really strong last couple of months for him. But I thought he looked good. I thought coming into the season he would play a role for this Bulls team. And he will, even when Kobe White comes back. At the moment, it's obviously inflated because of that injury, but he's looked really good. And I think that once Kobe is back, they probably still want to try and find 26 minutes for Trey Jones, 24 to 26. I was sitting more in that 20 to 22 range coming into the season, but just given how well the Bulls have played, how well he has played, I think they might try and find another couple of extra minutes for him. And, I mean, he's obviously a clear must-roster player now. If he's somehow available, go and add him. He's the 21st ranked player, 13 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, 8.3 assists, 3.3 steals, 1.3 threes. Now, obviously, the steals are not going to stick. The assists are not going to stick because Josh Giddey is there and Kobe White's coming back. They're both ball-dominant players. So the numbers are going to fall off, but I think Trey Jones has enough upside in those two categories, which are highly sought-after categories, assists more so than steals. But I think there's going to be enough value there that if you're picking him up now, that's fine. I think he could have rest of season value. It'll be touch and go, though. All right, we've got a couple of more questions. Which waiver wire player benefits most from the Indiana injuries? I mean, it's anyone's guess, isn't it? The Pacers are a bit of a mess. I think the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks is going to be very interesting in terms of how they view the season. So current injuries, I've got the depth chart up here. Current injuries are Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, Johnny Furphy, Tyrese Halliburton, of course. So they're all red. They're all out, confirmed out. So it leaves us with Aaron Nesmith and Pascal Siakam. They are two starters and would be starting anyway. So we don't have to worry about them. I mean, Nesmith, I suppose, benefits purely because all of these other names are gone. He's going to have to do more. So Nesmith is a beneficiary if he's not rostered, but he probably is. Ben Shepherd has started. I'm not that high on Ben Shepherd. I've seen enough. I mean, look, maybe he gets better. I'm just not super high on him. He benefits, obviously, but I don't know how much upside there is with him. Mac McClung was signed. I'm not grabbing him. I know he has been picked up in a lot of leagues. I've seen the numbers today, but I love Mac McClung and I would love for him to have a role, but I'll need to see it to believe it when it comes to him. Ray J. Dennis is interesting. So if they do play him as sort of a point guard, he is quite sneaky when it comes to assists. So he is someone I'd be looking at. And then obviously there's the center rotation with James Wiseman gone, with no Obi Toppin. They're really running out of options here. And that's what I mean by this next week. It could determine what the rest of the season looks like because they don't have a lot of depth, but they have a lot of options in terms of which direction they can go with the lineup. So Pascal Siakam could move to center. That's where I'm going with this. They could play Pascal Siakam at center, play Jarris Walker and Aaron Nesmith as the centers, and then like Ben Shepherd and Ray J. Dennis or something. Jarvis Walker is someone I'd keep an eye on. He isn't, or he's still quite rough around the edges. But if you remember coming into last season, there was talk as to whether he would be a starter. He was pretty disappointing for the entire season, but there's a good opportunity here for him to play 30 minutes a night. And I'm interested to see what he can do. So he's someone I'd consider. Isaiah Jackson, if he was dropped, I guess just pick him up and see what happens. But based on what we've seen, they don't have a lot of faith in him. Keeping in mind he is coming off an Achilles injury. So that could be playing into this low playing time. Jay Huff is the other one, but they haven't shown a lot of faith in him either. Tony Bradley, I guess maybe they're looking to play him over Jay Huff. But again, he's not super young either. He's almost 28. Jay Huff is 27. So in terms of age, Isaiah Jackson is the youngest by far. But in saying that, I don't think any of these guys are going to be the centre for Indiana moving forward. So even if Isaiah Jackson can turn into something, I just think he's too undersized to be a centre on a team with title aspirations, which I think the Pacers will be next season. All right. Mac Attack. Looking to pick up a player who plays 3 games in 4 days this week. Would I prefer Wendell Carter, Jarvis Walker, or Neesmith? I think they're all viable. Carter would be the safest, I think. Carter or Neesmith, obviously, they're both starting, playing 30 minutes. Carter probably gives you a little bit more than Neesmith, slightly, just because he gives you those rebounds, maybe a block, maybe a steal. Field goal percentage is decent. Free throws don't kill you. Neesmith can get hot. We've seen it. So he can go off and give you threes in bunches. Steals. He's a good defensive player, but that doesn't necessarily translate very well. So I'd probably go, for safety, I'd go Carter, Neesmith, Walker. But like I said, Walker is probably the most intriguing of the 3 of them because we haven't seen him play in a big role. So if you can take a bit of a risk, if your roster is pretty set, and your categories are locked in, I'd be okay with giving Walker a look, just understanding that he comes with some risk. And Jarvis Walker is the correct answer. Yeah, he could be. And well, to either of those questions, really. Hi, Kingy. I just used number 2 waiver on Mark Williams. What are my thoughts on his minutes and how conservative? Well, yes, that is what the waiver wire is for. If you picked up Mark Williams in a 16-team league, that's incredible. So well done. And that is what you use that waiver priority for something like this, because Mark Williams could be a top 40 player this season. He looked good in the last game. He played 30 or 30-something, didn't he? Was it 30? Let me have a look. Where are we, Mark Williams? 31 in the last game. He had played 24, 14, although the 14 was a blowout. And then 31. In the last game. So what would I project him for the season? And how conservative will they be? I think he might sit back-to-backs for a while. I don't know if it'll be the whole season, but I think it'll be a while. But he played 30 minutes yesterday, so I would assume that we're looking at 30 minutes a night for him. And his numbers yesterday were great. He had 25 and 11. He didn't get a block. 78 from the line, 64 from the field, 2 steals. Like I said, I think if he can play 30 minutes, 29, 30, he could be a top 40 player. And I think his floor, as long as he's playing that amount of time, or like 28, I think his floor is probably top 60, top 70. So, and in a 16-team league, even more valuable because of the depth. So, I think that's a no-brainer for me. Is Bub Carrington a stream option for 14-team leagues? Probably in a 14 team, I think he would be. Again, I'm not a super high Bub Carrington guy. But at the moment, he's playing. He looked okay today. I do think that Trey Johnson will overtake him at some point. But he's starting to this point in the season. He played 38 minutes today. Yeah, I mean, he's with the rise of players around him, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, the addition of CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton, who are both proven scorers. Bub is not, he doesn't have a super high ceiling, but he had 10 points today, 5 assists, a steal, a block, 2 threes. So I think in a 14-team league, you're probably looking at 170 players or something like that. I think he's okay for now. Rest of season, I'm not so sure because I think things will change. But I think for right now, he's okay to stream in. I'm not against that. Is Jimmy Butler an unpredictable fantasy asset? Is he a sell high right now? He is unpredictable. Is he a sell high? Yes and no. I think it probably depends on where you drafted him. So I don't think I don't have Jimmy Butler anywhere. It has been a good start to the season, but we've seen this in the past where he starts red hot, cools off, and then gets hot towards the back end of the season. So just looking at his numbers here, the minutes are fine. The concern is games played, but I do wonder if some of the missed games in past seasons have been more of a attitude kind of thing. Not wanting to play, the team not wanting to play him, that sort of thing. Where I think he's very motivated in Golden State. We saw last season when he joined Golden State, he only missed 1 game for the back end of the season. And if you look at the start of the season in Miami, he missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 games in Miami. Now, some of those were to do with the whole trade thing and that sort of thing, but he certainly looks more motivated. He's currently, what's his rank currently? So at the moment, he's sitting as sort of a 3rd, 4th rounder. So he's the 35th ranked player if we're looking at ranks in 9-cat leagues. And that's probably where you drafted him, in that sort of range. So I'd be okay with holding him. If you could sell him for a top 30 player, I probably would. Second rounder, if you could get him for some sort of a second rounder, like a Men Thompson, something like that, maybe there's a buy low, sell high kind of opportunity. So I'd be okay trying to offer him up for a trade, but I'd be looking for a top 30 player in return. And if not, you just ride him out and he just stays healthy this season. Could Middleton be a drop once Bilal returns? He could. He hasn't been great. I drafted him in a couple of spots with like my last pick, so I'm fine with what he's putting up. But he's definitely not the player that we've seen in the past. He's not looking to score as much. I know he had an opportunity to win the game today for the Wizards, and his little mid-range shot came up well short. So he's currently the 150th ranked player, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, a steal, which is pretty close to what I was expecting. I was sort of looking at him as a 15, 5, and 5 player with 1.5 threes and maybe 1.1 steals. So at the moment, the assists are down a little bit, which isn't surprising. They've got a lot of ball handlers on that team. Everything else is pretty much in line. So if the assists come up to 4, then he probably pushes into being a top 120 player. Once Bilal comes back, we just have to wait and see. I don't know whether they'll start Bilal Coulibaly or whether they'll move Bub Carrington out. Do they transition off of Chris Middleton and bring him off the bench? He's only playing like 27 minutes at the moment as a starter, so he could hypothetically come off the bench and play a very similar role. So, yeah, look, he could be a drop. I'm not saying he will be, but I do think he'll be a drop at some point. Who is a player that surprised me the most of the season? Surprised me the most this season so far, both positive and negative. Look, in a good way, it's been Keyshawn George. I talked about him, but I won't talk about him anymore. Who else? VJ Edgecombe has been very surprising. So I was, and I mean, I don't dig into the rookies like some analysts do. I do a little bit of digging, but yeah. So I had a feeling sort of the sort of player Edgecombe could be, but he looks really good. So he's been very good, surprising in a good way. Who else? Yeah, I mean, Jaime Jaquez, he's a top 50 player. So he's been good, but I don't see it lasting. Austin Reeves, we were pretty high on him. I think as a collective, had him as sort of a top 30 player. So someone you would gladly take in the third round. He's the fourth ranked player so far. Now, obviously, a lot has gone his way. No LeBron James, no Luka. Well, some of Luka, and now no Luka. So he's doing everything, but he's proven in the past, and he's proving again that when they are down on troops, he steps up. So he has been really good. Wemby, I mean, I had him projected as the first player, the number one player this season, and he's sort of blowing even me away. So that's been fun. If you've got him on your team. Walker Kessler, I've enjoyed what I've seen from him and Utah. So trending well. LaMelo Ball as well. Good start to the season for him. I'm a bit worried with this Brandon Miller injury that the Hornets record could start impacting LaMelo's production and availability, as we've seen in the past, feels like 3 or 4 years. Disappointing players. Let's have a look. I mean, Tari Eason's a pretty obvious one. He's been really bad. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dropping any of these players. I'm pretty cautious when it comes to dropping players. Let's have a look. Who else? Cam Thomas has been very up and down. So I drafted him in a couple of leagues. He's had some amazing games and then some invisible games. And that's very Cam Thomas. So if you drafted him, you're used to that. I would say DeAndre Ayton, but I'm not disappointed because I wasn't expecting much from him. But in relation to where we were drafting him, he's been pretty bad. Who else have we got? Buzelis, a little bit disappointing. I was pretty high on him along with a host of other analysts. We were looking at him in the 90, 80 range, and he's sort of outside almost top 200, I think. He'll be better. But yeah, he's been disappointing. Dyson Daniels, another really easy one. Not looking to score at all. The steals are fine. He's averaging 2 steals a game, but he's shooting 32% from the field. So he's going to be better than he's been. So it's a really nice buy low opportunity, I think, for him. What's this one? Tried the ultra punt. I went bigs. What's the potential downfall of this strategy? There are downfalls. Obviously one of them is that you don't have a lot of leeway when it comes to winning and losing. So you will, depending how ultra punty you went, if you punted 4 categories, you're really only going to win 5-4. Maybe you sort of sneak in a 6-3 here or there. So it doesn't leave you a lot of room. If you don't build the team correctly, then you can lose as many as you win, kind of thing. And if you're only winning 5-4, you need to win as many matchups as you can. So the downfall there is that you go a little bit light, or you go too heavy on blocks, for instance, and don't go heavy enough on steals. That's usually my downfall, is the steals category. I think I've addressed it quite well this season with my builds. So far, so good. And I'll provide updates through the season on those builds and how the teams are looking and the standings and things like that. But at the moment, they're looking okay. Just hoping I don't come up against Wemby when he blocks 20 shots in a week. My teams where I don't have Wemby. So that's probably the obvious one, is that there's not a lot of wiggle room. So you have to really nail your draft and your waiver wire pickups. So a really good example of a waiver wire pickup for today, and if you were to look at numbers and stats from today, this guy wouldn't be, well, no, he'd be near the top of ranks because of the low volume categories. But Adem Bona, who I streamed in, I drafted him in a couple of leagues, but I streamed him in today. It was a low volume day. I knew Embiid was back, but I knew he was on a minutes restriction. And I know Bona is a better player than Andre Drummond. So I just hoped that they would lean into him. Now, it wasn't looking good early on. I think Adem Bona was stuck at about 5 minutes for a lot of the game. And he came on, he closed the game and played the overtime period. So he ended up with about 18 minutes, I think. And he blocked 5 shots. So in my build, I'll take that any day of the week. 5 blocks is crucial. But to most other teams, yeah, it helps, but he didn't score. He didn't get a lot of rebounds. He didn't do anything else. So that is one benefit. You can often grab people off the waiver wire that others aren't interested in, or aren't necessarily. They might be interested in them, but they're not necessarily prioritizing them. So yeah, it does, as with your draft, it creates value in spots where there would otherwise be no value or less value for other managers. Does it make sense to hold Jared McCain in a 14 team? If you've got multiple IR spots, I think you could. I'm not sure he's a must roster player though. I think he's pretty limited. And Philly look good, believe it or not. And Paul George will come back, I assume, at some point. So yeah, I don't think he's a must roster player. But if you've got multiple IR spots, you could leave him in there for now. Thoughts on Josh Minott? I like Josh Minott. His playing time is frustrating. I'm very curious to see what he does tomorrow, whether they start him, whether they play him 28 minutes, or do they cycle through and start Sam Hauser again, or start Hugo Gonzalez again, or do they bring in Shireman, or like there's options. So I like him. If he was to play, if we got some sort of guarantee that he was going to play 26 minutes a night, I'd say you probably have to go and add him. At the moment, he's more of a flyer. If you picked him up for that last game, you're pretty happy, and you hold him for tomorrow and see what happens. Dylan, hello. Should I trade Mark Williams and Jeremy Grant for Tingus Pingus? 12-team, 9-cat Wemby team. Is Tingus Pingus, is that Porzingis? I'm assuming it's Porzingis. Maybe that's a nickname. I don't know. If you want to just confirm that is who I'm talking about. If it is, then yes, I'd be okay with that, I think. I think Porzingis is a top 25 player, top 20 player. Jeremy Grant's playing well at the moment, but remember, this is Jeremy Grant. Mark Williams, like I said, he could be really good, but I think he will miss back-to-backs. So I'd be okay. I'd be okay doing that. All right. I got so compelled by your punting strategy, I went for it. A lot of people have done it this season, which I love. I love punting. So you went for, so here's your team: Dyson, Amen, Asar, Mobley, Kessler, Gobert, Kamara, Hart, Eason, Cater, DiVincenzo, Jalen Williams, Case and Wallace. All players that I targeted this season. And it's a very easy build to dissect because you can look at it and you can straight away, you will know if you've done it well. First category I look at is steals. Dyson, Amen, Asar, Kamara. Hart's okay. He's probably the one that I didn't get anywhere. Eason, DiVincenzo, Jalen Williams, Cason. So steals are fine. I would say you're probably going to win steals comfortably. Blocks, you have Gobert, Kessler, Mobley. They're your 3 big sort of shot blockers. And then Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson will get you some blocks as well. Cater's a pretty sneaky one there. He will get you blocks. So I think blocks are fine. The risk here would be if you were coming up against the Wemby team, and the Wemby team has Wemby, I don't know, Jaren Jackson and Alex Sarr or something like that. That might be an issue. Rebounds should be pretty good because you've got guards that rebound the ball, field goal percentage. So I think blocks would be the only one there that maybe would be an issue, but that would really depend on how other teams have drafted. Amazing show. Just wanted to ask your thoughts. Derek White for Jalen Johnson. So getting Derek White, I'm assuming if it's your Jalen Johnson, I would prefer Jalen Johnson, I think. I just worry. I wasn't super worried about Derek White coming into the season. I thought he was relatively safe, but given what's happening in Boston, I think they're pretty close in terms of rank. I think they're both probably borderline top 20 players, and Derek White has been bad. I think I'd go Jalen Johnson just. I think, barring injury, I think he probably plays more games than Derek White. A little bit position dependent there, I suppose. Do you need a guard or do you need a forward? But yeah, I'd probably lean Jalen Johnson, but it's pretty close. I think it's fair enough. Stein wants to be a punt master. If you can do it, because not a lot of people in more people did it this season, but I would say a majority of people don't punt that hard, with good reason too. It is risky, but yeah, if you can pull it off, it's a good way to win your leagues. Or, and I like the satisfaction. So I was in a couple of leagues this year with. I get invited into leagues all the time. So I was joined a couple of leagues with people. I don't know who they are, but I don't think they wouldn't all listen to me, and fine. And so I went with my punt strategy, and then reading the group chats and things like that. Quite a lot of them are like, "Oh, who's this guy? He doesn't know who." Because I was drafting Asar Thompson with the 5th round and stuff like that. They were sort of a bit confused and why is he doing this? But then if I can win, I don't know. It's a bit of satisfaction. It's nice to sort of fall back on my strategy if it works. Do I think Gillespie can start with Booker? I like Gillespie. I do think he's an interesting player. Do I think he can start? Look, I don't know what Phoenix are doing. Jalen Green is potentially back tomorrow, so that sort of muddies the waters a little bit. But in saying that, Dylan Brooks is also out. So I think they'll stick with Grayson Allen. Tomorrow, Mark Williams could also move back into the starting lineup after playing 30 minutes. So I'll be interested to see what their lineup looks like tomorrow. Does Royce O'Neal get a look in there at the small forward spot? I think they stick with Ryan Dunn. So I think there's some... I don't think they would go Colin Gillespie here, but I don't mind keeping an eye on him because I do think both he and Jordan Goodwin are interesting as backup point guards. So yeah, I wouldn't mind keeping an eye on them, but I'm not sure he's going to start. Okay, you watched my video on Saturday night about Jamie and you did not disappoint. Who's Jamie? Jamie? Let me know who that is. Been offered White for Kessler. I got to take this right. Derek White for Walker Kessler. Yeah, I think. Look, overall rank, yes. I think White is the better player, but this is very stat dependent. I know White gives you out of position blocks, but Kessler could be second in the league in blocks. He could average 2.7 blocks, 11 rebounds, shoot 64% from the field. So he is very, very traditional in terms of big man stats. Derek White is a better overall player. He'll do more. So yeah, if you're just looking for a balanced person to add or balanced player to add to your roster, then I think I'd go White there. Do I trade Miles Turner for a half-eaten bag of chips? Depends on the chips. But yes, if it's a good bag of chips, I'd be okay with that. No, look, Turner has been pretty rough to begin the season. I wrote his player blurb tonight, and I had to try and sort of sell him as yes, it's a buy low, but I think he'll be better. I would imagine playing alongside Giannis takes some adjusting because he's quite a unique player. They're not playing with the point guard that would have trained or been sort of the whole preseason as the starting point guard. So they're now playing with Ryan Rollins instead of Kevin Porter Jr. So there's a lot of factors here, I think, with Miles Turner. Yes, it has been disastrous, but I think he'll be better. Certainly don't look to trade him at the moment because you won't get anything back in return. So you just have to hold on and hope that he figures things out, unless you really like chips. Would I trade Jalen Johnson and DeMar for Devin Booker? Ooh. I mean, Booker's the best player there. Usually, if you're getting the best player, you want to make the trade. Jalen Johnson's like, I don't know. I think it's fair. I think if you're looking for depth, you keep Jalen and DeMar. But if you're just looking to sort of bolster the top end of your roster and you drafted well, then you could certainly look to get Booker, because Booker could be a top 10 player this year. I do worry a little bit about how much he's going to play down the stretch with the way that Phoenix have looked, but we're a week into the season, so that would probably be a bit of an overreaction. Yes, okay, so it was Jaime Jaquez. Yeah, he has been good, better than I thought. I'm not going to lay claim to him playing that well because of me, but yes, he has been very good, and we saw this. I don't know if it was last season. We've seen pockets of Jaime Jaquez where he is a really good player and then he just vanishes. So be aware that there is a drop off coming, I would say. But yeah, look, I mean, he was incredible today. He's shooting, Jesus. I'm just pulling up his numbers here for the season. So he's shooting 69% from the field. That is not going to stick. So the other numbers are fine: 6.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.3 steals. So they're okay. They will do enough. They're enough to keep him afloat. But when that percentage comes down, I mean, if you look at his field goal percentage for his career, which is only a short career, he's basically sitting at like 47%. So that's a 22% drop off coming. And the way that happens is not by him shooting 47%. It's by him shooting 27% for a week or something like that. So there is a big drop off coming. But if you picked him up, I'm sure you paid nothing for him. So yeah, just hold him and ride it out. Thoughts on Jabari Smith Jr.? He's a perfect stream for the week. So you're talking about Jabari there being a perfect stream. I haven't looked at the schedules yet. Yeah, look, Jabari's interesting. I mean, I drafted him in a couple of leagues late as a center, and that was more because I was building a guard-heavy team, and I neglected to draft a center. So I had to get a center-eligible player that will hit threes, not hurt my free throws, pretty much, and that's what Jabari Smith does. Not a lot of upside for him. The role is relatively secure, I think. I'm just bringing up his numbers now in terms of the minutes he's playing. Where are we? So he's sitting at 35 minutes a game. So minutes are not an issue. He's going to play. That was inflated by two sort of 40-minute games. But yeah, look, I mean, he's doing what we thought he'd do. I think he'll sort of end up averaging, I'd say 15 points, 7.5 maybe rebounds. He's not really going to get you much defensively. Maybe he can nudge a block, 0.8 blocks, but he'll give you 2 threes. He's pretty good from the free throw line. So he probably ends up as a top 100 player. Think sort of a center version of Tobias Harris. So someone who just plugs along, doesn't blow you away. Wendell Carter, similar. You just sort of leave them in your roster and forget about them. I think that's what he'll do. There'll be some ups, there'll be some downs, but he's young enough, he's doing enough, and he's playing enough to be rostered. Edson Santos. First time here, I answer questions. I try to. It depends. I didn't answer them all this morning because we had, I don't know, we had like 1,000 people watching, asking questions, and it was way too many. Plus Noah and I like to talk. Derek White for Kessler. I have a Giannis punt free throw team. Okay. Yeah, then that makes sense. What have we got here? Cade, Cooper, Paolo, Mobley, Keyshawn, Sarr, Morant is my call for a 10-team dynasty with 7 firsts in the next 3 years. It's a good call. Cade is going to be really good. Cooper is going to be really good. Paolo, Mobley, Keyshawn, Sarr, Morant. Yeah, look, they're all pretty young too. Cade, Cooper, Paolo, Mobley, Keyshawn, Sarr. Morant might be the only one that's not, but they're all under 25, I think. So that's a pretty good call with 7 firsts. And you picked Alex Sarr this year, and he's been good. I didn't think he'd be this good, but yeah, he's been fantastic. He had a 30 and 10 game today, I think. So no, he's been very good. All right, that is all the questions. Thanks, everyone. That was enough to give us a show, so pretty happy about that. I think I'm about to jump into another live show with Matty G and DMAC on a channel. I guess it'll be on Twitter. So if you want to listen to us talk for another hour, then yeah, it'll pop up somewhere. Just keep an eye out for it. I think. Let me check my messages. No, nothing confirmed. So I think he wanted to do it around 8:30, 9 o'clock my time, which is 10 minutes, 40 minutes. So sometime in there. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're over 10,000 subscribers now, which is good. Dan and I are already planning for next year for the preseason. I've got some kooky ideas, which I'm going to run by him. So looking forward to that, but looking forward to the season. So thank you, everyone. At Adam King 91 on Twitter is where you can find me. At Old Man Squad is where you can find the channel. And all of the guys at Noah Rubin 22, at Dan Besperis, at Rotomancer, at Ain't Done Yet, I think. So Jacob Dunn is doing a show. So I think it's Ain't Done Yet. AINTDUNNEYET. Ain't Done Yet. I'm pretty sure that's his Twitter handle, but I could be wrong. And I don't have Twitter open. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you, everyone. I am Adam King. This has been Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast. We are done.